10 years. 10 years I'm celebrating of Pregame, my company, and that is extraordinary because most small businesses don't make it for past the first couple of years. Past the 5-year mark is a huge one, but 10 years is really momentous, and predictably, I have to give you 10 lessons from my 10 years of entrepreneurship. Now, of course, I did have another company before, Pressler Collaborative, before I started Pregame. So actually a lot more years of entrepreneurship. And I would also argue that my first career as an actor was also entrepreneurship because you are selling your own business. But I wrote a book about that. You can go read that. So here you go. These are my 10 lessons from 10 years of Pregame. And you know I only tell you the truth. So I'm not going to blow a bunch of positivity smoke up your ass, all right? Like, just go for your dreams. It'll all work out. No, it won't necessarily. So here are my lessons from this particular business, this particular project, Pregame. Number 1, timing is everything. Listen, you might have an amazing business idea. It might be really groundbreaking, but it might be too soon. It might be an idea that's before its time, and people aren't ready to adopt it yet. I have definitely seen that happen. Somebody has a really cool idea, but people just can't get their head around it soon enough for that business to survive, grow, and thrive. At the same time, people can start a business after the trend has passed or maybe peaked. So let's think about like cupcakes, right? Like it was all about cupcakes like 20 years ago or something. And so you open a cupcake bake shop, that's awesome, everyone's coming. But if you open it too late in the trend, everybody's on to cronuts or whatever, right? And so timing matters so much. Timing also, of course, matters in your life. You know, please don't start a business when your kids are like 2 and 6 months or something. You know, you need to be there for them, I hope, you know, or don't start when you're already in a lot of debt. Probably not a great time. But also the economy, right? Can people spend money on your business? So it's not necessarily that your idea or your business model isn't solid. The timing may just not be right. And there might be a better business for the time right now, or it may be worth waiting a little bit to launch. Number 2, understand where you fit in the market and market accordingly. So this is kind of a mistake that I made early on in Pregame. We, of course, started as a business accelerator, and I thought, you know, I just want to have a lot of people be part of this community, so I'm going to price it quite low for the membership. Well, that was a problem because in Portland, where we started, all the other resources for technical assistance for small businesses were free or very cheap because they're all nonprofits and subsidized heavily by government and other grants. So actually, what was a low price to me based on my history of like living in New York City was very low to a lot of the public. Now, also, the price was too high for them, but also too low for really high level expert coaching. So I'm bringing them like the best of the best. I'm bringing them guest speakers. Like the value is actually really high. And should I have had maybe fewer clients at a higher price point? Because for my market of Portland, it was actually kind of a luxury good, especially because we had this beautiful space that looked like an art gallery. It was kind of higher end. But my values are having access for more people to have the opportunity to have good business information, which was a little before its time because it was really before people were building online platforms easily to house all of their learning content like I have now for Pregame on Demand. So I really needed to know my market a little bit better so that I could have positioned within that market better. I thought I was sort of positioning alongside like co-working spaces and that whole explosion and like what else do you need to build your business, but that's not really how people perceived it. Number 3, so important, clarify your values to draw your right people. When I sat down and did the exercise around identifying my company values, which I cannot recommend highly enough, and I took the approach that's outlined in Gino Wickman's book, Traction, and I teach a version of that with my clients, and there's a module on that in Pregame on Demand. I sat down, I identified, I think, 7 values for the company, and just that clarity made me start acting in those values in a stronger way. And let me tell you, my worst clients fell off and better clients started coming in the door. And ever since then, I really haven't had problem clients. Okay, 1 or 2. But I can spot them earlier because my values and how I want to be and who I want to be around are so much clearer. And that's also worked for my professional network and even in my life as I get clearer in my own values, which heavily overlap with my business, of course, because it's my business. Things get better. The people around me get better. And people it's the make or break factor, right, in your business. That's a little bonus for you. All right. 4, discipline wins. Discipline wins every time. This is something that I see a lot of entrepreneurs have a problem with because the entrepreneurial personality and mindset is about creating. It's on to the next thing. It's about seeing things a little bit before other people do. So the discipline of every day doing your Facebook post, your Instagram post, your TikTok, your blog, your newsletter, like that can feel like such a drain on this visionary place that feels really good. And I think sometimes those emotions or the dopamine of a new idea distract us from the discipline it takes to execute well. Because let me tell you, and this is another like sub tip of this tip, ideas are cheap. Anyone can have an idea. I have a new business idea every week, and a lot of them are really good. But until I'm willing to commit to the execution daily for years, I don't have a chance of that thing coming to life and attracting customers, much less making good money. Number 5, adapt fast. Okay, especially if you're a small business, you can adapt fast, but you also have to be wise enough to know when to change course. Sometimes people change course too easily, so that goes back to the discipline one. But of course, we learned this big time on March 15th, 2020, because you know what happened on March 12th, I think. Our governor announced the stay-at-home issue, and like I had to keep my business running. We weren't going to just shut everything down. I had members paying a monthly membership to be part of this, and we had programming every single day, live workshops in person. So guess what? Over the weekend, we had to move to Zoom, and I had to cancel some of the things that could only work in person, and I rescheduled things that work great online. So literally within a number of days, my whole business became an online business. And we didn't lose any members until like we had some attrition at the end of the year. So for 9 months, we really kept that revenue going, and most of all, kept the members' morale up during a really hard time because people really needed that community and to stay plugged in. So being able to adapt really fast also puts you at the front of the market, makes you a leader, right? Right now, it's all about like adapting and adopting to AI. Mixed feelings about that. You have to embrace AI, I think, because it's not going anywhere. But, some of the companies that are like, no, we're an AI company, or here's the AI feature, you're like, that's just a search engine. It's not adding anything to my experience. So, be honest about your adaptation as well. Number 6, and I did a whole video on this before, but it's so important, I wanted to elevate it to these 10 lessons. Number 6 is people only know what you tell them. I live in Portland. It is aggressively humble, as a friend of mine puts it, and that really works against us. We don't go hard enough with our brand, with our marketing, and therefore these small businesses, if the founder is a true Portlander, and has come up in this culture, often they're really not that good at the marketing and PR of their business. And people can't just like intuit that your business exists or that it's great or that you have a special going on this week. You have to get out there. You have to tell them you're the best. You have to tell them why you're the best. And you have to repeat that message like on the daily, because people's attention is smaller than ever and shorter than ever. And it is on you. And this is career advice too, right? It's on you to tell people what you're achieving, why you're great, why it matters to them, what they're going to get out of the experience. People only know what you tell them. So be sure you tell them, and be sure you repeat yourself many times so that people actually get the point you're trying to make. Number 7, be picky about your inner circle. This goes for life as well. But when you are bringing people into your business, which is likely something really close to your heart if you're a first-time entrepreneur, something you care about and your livelihood is based on it, right? You have got to be so picky about who's on your team. Do not hire because you're in a rush. I know sometimes you absolutely have to, but most times you don't. Most times taking an extra couple weeks and living with the pain of working too hard before you hire is the wise thing to do, because otherwise you're still going to be working hard while a weak team member is like dragging behind you and they never quite get there, and then you have to start all over again in 6 months. So be incredibly picky about who's on your team. If you have to start the hiring process all the way over, it's worth it, because again, you're not losing so much more time by having the wrong team member. Now, this also goes for your vendors, right? Your attorney, your accountant, bookkeeper. If you're outsourcing all of those things, you better vet them, and vet them hard, because they are your team that's telling you what to do about the things you don't know, right? If you're building out a space, your general contractor, even your cleaning team, like get their values in line with your values. I know it can be hard to do, but it is so worth the investment of your time. And then that goes for friends that you vent to or solicit advice from too. Listen, you can have friends who are not entrepreneurs, and I think it's wise to do that, right? But you don't have to ask advice from everybody. Just because your mom likes your logo doesn't mean that it's a good logo, right? Just because you post your headshot on social media and ask people what they think or which one you should use doesn't mean they're your target audience. All that matters is what your target audience will actually like and take action on. So be careful whose opinion you ask. Make sure they're willing to tell you what you don't want to hear, or just not just agree with everything that you say. They have to be able to push back on you as well. Number 8, protect your energy. I am terrible about this. This is a lesson I have had to really work on in the next, I should really relax into over the last few years, because I'm an overworker, I'm an overachiever by nature. You know, it's kind of how I grew up and has been very rewarding. Well, that has made me burn out several times, or just maybe like keep going full speed with chronic pain, or, you know, have stuff all those things so that maybe it comes out the wrong way to other people, or I'm just like too hard on the situation because I'm not protecting my energy. That can be who I let into my circle. It can be who I listen to. It can be, do I need to listen to 3 news podcasts today? And it can be taking vacation. Because I had a physical location in my first 4 years of Pregame, I thought I had to be there and be open every single day, right? I only had like a part-time manager working with me, and of course had other coaches teaching some of the workshops. But I felt I had to physically be there all the time. And I could have like shut the door and locked it for half a day and just not had anyone there, because all of our work was by appointment. And we weren't really getting clients from just like walking in off the street. So I really could have taken more time or just put more intention into doing restorative things on the weekend. Of course, I was also like super broke the first few years because I wasn't making very much money. So, you have to think about what is real self-care. It's not necessarily getting a $150 massage. It might be taking a walk in the forest for an hour. So, being really disciplined, right, about how you're not only protecting your energy, but refilling your cup on the regular is absolutely crucial. And that goes for anything that you're doing, right? Oh, number 9, there is always a way. This is a really important attitude to take if you're in leadership anywhere, but especially in entrepreneurship, there is always a way. I say this to my team. Sure, tell me your plan A. Well, bring me the problem and bring me a solution, right? So that's plan A, but you better be thinking about plan B and C also, because if the first one doesn't work out, we're going to think of something else that does work. And I'm going to push until I find that solution. And that solution is always going to be a win-win. That's my number one value. That is Pregame's number one value, is everything can be a win-win. Nobody has to lose in a situation. And so we're looking for a win-win, but there's always a way. It's that passive thing. And this is why I'm so glad I started my career in New York City. You cannot afford to wait in line until it's your turn. You have to find ways to kind of skip the line, ethically, of course. But there's this very passive energy where I live right now. And I would get maybe a team member who's like, oh, I emailed them, but they didn't get back to me. And I'm like, did you email them again? Did you call them? Did you go to their office and find out? Did you ask somebody different? Right? There's always a way to get it done. I am surrounded, you can't see on my floor, by supplies and decor and everything, because we're throwing our huge 10th anniversary celebration this week. So I'm prepping for that all day, every day. But I didn't have a huge budget to throw this huge bash. But guess what? I just asked. I asked, hey, could we use your space? Hey, would you be willing to DJ this? And everybody came through. And I was really upfront. I'm like, I know what your time is worth, but my budget's really low. What could you do? Do not feel obligated to say yes. But I have built those relationships over years and paid people, and valued them and given them shout outs to everyone I can. And I'm able to get a return on that investment. Not that relationships are transactional, but those are friends now. And those are clients that I stayed in contact with, for years after our engagement. So that investment really, truly has paid off. And there has always been a way forward for the goals I have that are good goals and that deserve to be seen through. And number 10, I did protect your energy twice. So number 10 is make it fun. Oh, I have a disco ball in every office. And this was my theme of last year. My theme was, how could this be more fun? And our company and the way we do things is really known for making things fun. People always say, your strategic planning process wasn't painful and I was dreading it, or I thought it was going to take up all my time, and the product's really good. And that's the highest compliment that I can get, because work is so much of our lives, right? You're at work for 8 hours a day, probably more, commuting, thinking about things. Maybe you're answering emails in your off time. That's a huge proportion of our lives. So you should enjoy your job, or at least be rewarded, be growing, be challenged. It should be part of what makes life worthwhile. And I'm not saying your job has to do all of that for you. I'm saying you also have to bring that kind of energy to your job, and a job that you're could turn into something really spectacular if you bring that energy to it. But you can also make it fun. And so I have clients who are always trying to do this. It doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be big effort, but people really appreciate those little touches. We call them surprise and delight, bringing our client a playlist based on a warm-up we did about what everyone's power song is, or making like a trivia game about each other to get to know each other in a leadership retreat. You know, those little things. And of course, with a fun brand like Pregame, it makes it pretty easy to think of cool ideas. But it makes it more fun for me to go to work every day, and it makes it more fun for our clients to work with us. So especially if you're feeling a little stuck, ask yourself, how can this be more fun? And don't be afraid to do it. Okay, those are my 10 lessons from 10 years of entrepreneurship with Pregame. Happy anniversary, Pregame. So cool. Who knows what the future holds? I don't know what's next, but I'm going to keep these lessons for myself, and I hope that you will borrow, steal, and apply them to what you're working on, any project. I think they're really going to help you have more fun and more success in your career, your business, and even life. Game on.